Dave, I know you had some really good intel on that, and you kind of did some research as well. Maybe you want to share that with us
Yeah,
if you don't mind.
yeah. So I mean, I don't know if Stephen, if you want to bring up the article. So this is an article from April of 2021. So basically a year ago, but basically giving a good illustration of the average household income to buy an average home in the different markets. So um, for those of you that are viewing this on video or YouTube, left hand column is a static number of 1x, 3x, 5x, 8x. This is how many times your average household income to purchase the average home in that market. So, and along the bottom is the years along the bottom axis. So, starting at 1980, or the first chart's Canada as a whole. And so we're looking at 3 times your income, and it kind of stays stagnant around 3 and fluctuates between 3 and 5 times a little bit. And then in around 2018, really kind of jumps even before the pandemic. I was saying to the guys off the air, it's kind of ironic that the federal government brought in the stress test in 2018 when this average actually jumped, when the idea was behind all those changes from 2018 were to slow it down. But we're not going to get into that. But if you scroll down to there's charts on Vancouver, on Toronto, and as well in Ottawa. But looking, if you look at Vancouver, we obviously know Vancouver's pretty darn expensive. But you'll see around 2010 it really jumping. So actually almost 2008 rather, at 6 times your income, and even back as far as 95, it looks like 7 times your income for an average house in the Vancouver area, and kind of hovering around actually that 5 to 6 mark for a while, dipping a bit early 2000s, and then on a little bit of a steady incline, and it's hovering around currently around the 11 times household income for an average home. Toronto, similar, slower rise, hovering around the 4, and then increasing to now about 10 times in 2020. And then scrolling down to Ottawa, you'll see, in 1980,
to the moon.
And we've always talked about Ottawa in a very stable market. And again, for those of you that haven't been listening that long or might have forgotten, and if you look it up, that Ottawa has the highest average household income in Canada. So that's been that way for quite a long period of time, being a tech and government hub. And so you see kind of a static fluctuation of income, or average household to home price. But then in 2018, roughly, it kind of jumping up, but we're still averaging around that 6 times the income, household income. Now, one thing to kind of keep in mind when looking at all this, you'll see it's kind of a trend all the way, whether you be in Moncton and Montreal, Ottawa, it jumping at the same time. But from a numbers standpoint, when you're looking at qualifying for a mortgage, it's roughly around 5 times your income from from a high level numbers, 5 times your income of what you would qualify for as a mortgage amount without any debt. Now that's after your down payment. That is what you're qualifying for as a loan amount. So, the number at being in Ottawa of 6x, 7x, I mean, once you subtract down payment, you're really in that, at that five times range. It's not something where the market is even stretched beyond where, Vancouver is or anything like that, where Ottawa actually has a higher average household income compared to Vancouver, compared to Toronto. And in Vancouver, you're at that 11 and 12 times your household income, and we're only at 6, and we have a higher average household income. Yeah. So, I know when you're looking at it and people talk about, well, minimum wage is this. At the end of the day, it's, minimum wage isn't, doesn't dictate where a market is from an average household income. And so that's something to kind of keep in mind. Obviously, house prices, like we showed before last week, have really jumped incrementally, but it's not a rarity of having double-digit growth, even 15 and 20% growth. Each decade there seems to be 2 years when you look at the historical pattern, and really we're kind of just seeing that built up over the years. And like I said, it's kind of ironic that the mortgage qualifying rules changed in 2018, and that's when we saw kind of the takeoff of home prices at that same time, and it was kind of meant to do the opposite. So there's a lot of talk of new rule changes coming in the market, and a lot of those, who knows whether they'll have that adverse reaction or not.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe because we'd really like that.